Welcome back, wonderful humans. I'm Danielle, and I currently live alone and I'm trying to shift towards healthier meals whilst remaining on a budget. As always, I've continued to not do fantastically, but have still generally come in a calorie deficit. On Saturday for breakfast, I just had a banana. As you can see, they're starting to go even more than the last time I shown you in the last week because it was from the old bunch of bananas. But I knew that I was planning to have a big lunch or a bigger meal because I'd said to Mum about going to the local farm shop, Farmer Copley's, for lunch. And whilst we were there, we ended up having afternoon tea. It was absolutely delicious, but then I was absolutely stuffed, so I didn't eat anything else for the rest of the day. For Sunday, I ended up having a yogurt with some grapes in for breakfast. These yogurts are obviously pretty high in calories and sugar, so it wasn't necessarily the healthiest thing to have, but I wanted something that didn't feel too heavy on the stomach. I had some morning snacks. I ended up having some of these potato hoops from Lidl, which are, of course, knockoff hula hoops. But I find them to be a bit tastier, actually, than proper branded hula hoops. So that was a nice little morning treat for me. And then for lunch, I just ended up having nothing super fantastic, nothing healthy, and that's for sure. But I got some flapjacks. It was three for a pound in home bargain. So I ended up having the chocolate chip coated one on the top. Like I said, that was for my lunch. For dinner, I did some pork with some noodles, some pepper mixed in there, some mushrooms as well, a little bit of soy sauce, and sort of a few more flavors mixed in. And that was it for for Sunday. So then on to the Monday, and for breakfast, this was back to the work week, and I just had some grapes. I started work early this day. I said I'd do my shift, so I started at 8 instead because Monday is one of our busier days at work. And then for lunch, I had some of that leftover pork with some mini cucumbers. Like I said, I tend to find that these cucumbers, I'm a lot more likely to eat them than if it's a big cucumber. For dinner, did a tomato, mozzarella, and pasta bake, mix some spinach in there as well. These were some of the large tomatoes, some of the ones that were on the vine from my video last week that I got when I was in Lidl. And then I had some snacks as well. I had the other one of the flapjacks. If you're wondering, well, why was the third one I gave to my mum after we'd been shopping that last week. She had the white chocolate coated one. On Tuesday, I just ended up having for breakfast again, nothing fantastic. My breakfast has been pretty dull recently, but I did some wheat bix. I popped some milk with it, and then I mixed some of those frozen berries through as well. As you can see, I just continue to give it a good mix up. And this tends to make, because in fact, if I remember, I ended up eating it sort of in between calls during my work day. Morning snack time came around. My first break. Now the thing about my first break is my first break was actually at 12 till 12:15. So I had some refrigerators and a baby bell because I was absolutely starving, but I didn't have enough time to be able to have lunch. My lunch was then at 2 o'clock, and I just, because of the time it had been so late, I ended up having some juice, a banana, and some more of those potato hoops as well. Like I said, I felt super pushed for time, and it was all my lunch all this week was just a super difficult to navigate time because, like I say, it being at 2 o'clock means that it's so close to dinner. So I just had sort of snacked and grazed as best as I could throughout the days for most of this week. But then for dinner, I tried to have something super yummy and simple. And I put some bacon, potato, pepper, and eggs all together and did that. And it was just super comforting and super quick and easy to do because I did it in chunks throughout my work day to make sure that I could just combine it all together, reheat it through, and do those eggs on the top as well. And I probably haven't got the short up yet, but do keep an eye on my channel for when the short comes up for how to put this all together. For snacks, I think this was my evening snack. Yes, I just had the one of these penguin biscuits. It looks a bit of funny perhaps because I left it out and it melted slightly, so I had to pop it in the fridge to reshape it a bit. On to Wednesday, and for my breakfast, I just ended up having some toast with some margarine, nothing fancy at all, just another one of my usual sort of meals. But it was, like I said, it was quick, and where I was starting work a bit later, I wanted something going on. And then for my lunch, I just had some juice. I had the rest of the apple, mango, spinach, and avocado cold pressed juice with a raspberry and passion fruit yogurt. So, whilst it's low in calories, I'm aware that this combination is super high in sugars. And actually, I think I said that that was my lunch, but like I said, that was more of my morning break in the sense of it being at 12. And then for my actual lunch, I just had some fridge raiders, baby bells, and some oranges. But again, like I said, this was more sort of my afternoon stack in the more traditional sense of where I'd normally be showing you this content. Turns out that working 9:30 to 6 for my job, because of the time that they choose to put my breaks, really isn't very friendly for anybody. But then for my dinner, I did a bacon and asparagus risotto. Again, made the most of doing a few of the bits in the air fryer whilst the risotto was cooking. Sort of make it feel a bit quicker, a bit easier. And I will also have a short coming up on this because I see so many people saying that, oh, risotto is so much time and effort to make. It's really not if you know the tips and tricks to do it. And then for some snacks, again, I just had some more of the potato hoops. I wouldn't say that I'm on a mission to use them up, but once they're gone, I probably won't be buying any more as part of that whole shifting towards eating healthier as well. Because obviously, if I have not bad snacks, but those kind of snacks around, then I will tend to eat them. On Thursday, this is the day where I probably had more calories than I should have done on one day compared to how I'd been doing for the rest of the week. And I just had a caramel yogurt for breakfast. Again, not the healthiest things for breakfast, perhaps get the day started, but I just wasn't feeling too good on the Thursday. And then I had some grapes and I had some refrigerators as well. But in fact, I ended up having half of Thursday off because I just wasn't feeling it. And I had some of the leftover bacon and asparagus risotto to make sure it was used up whilst it was still nice and fresh and super yummy. It tasted even better the next day. I didn't actually reheat it the next day, but it was still absolutely wonderful and sort of flavorful and certainly kept me filled up. Then in the afternoon, like I said, where I wasn't feeling too good, I was like, I need to make sure I get a bit of sort of vitamins and everything into me. And I had some of the pineapple, melon, mango, and passion fruit juice from Lidl before dinner came around, and I just ended up making up some of the French onion dip that my partner kindly brought over from the US for me with some sour cream and onion crisps. I really wish that French onion dip was something you can just get hold of in the UK, but it really isn't unless you actually go to an import store or something. On Friday, I ended up having for breakfast some more toast and margarine on it. Again, it was super simple. I woke up feeling super tired. I had a hospital appointment later on in the day, so I knew I needed to eat something that was going to keep me going. For lunch, I finished off the rest of that dip and crisps because you'll be pleased to know I didn't eat all of it on the Thursday evening. If I had, then I'm pretty sure my stomach would have been incredibly upset with me come the Friday. But it was super tasty. It wasn't the usual brand or the usual couple of brands I'd had, but it was delicious. And I still have some left as well. I just need to probably hold off a little while before I indulge again. For Friday's dinner, I ended up having a lemon yogurt and some grapes. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. And if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to hit the like buttons, subscribe, and comment to be able to see more next time.